All right, we're finishing up the pretest with some multiple choice questions. On test day, take your time on these. They're usually 2 to 3 points each, and usually doubled after that, so they can add up quickly. I know we like multiple choice, but a lot of times it's what we miss the most on. Okay, so on problem number 5, it says a bullet is shot horizontally out of a gun. At the very same time, an identical bullet is dropped from the same height. Which bullet hits the ground first? We saw this already, right? We watched the Mythbusters and we saw that if it's shot at the exact same time it's dropped, gravity will affect both of them the same. So the acceleration to gravity is still going to be that negative 9.8, meaning they should hit the ground at the same time. Don't pick 21. 6. How does the mass of an object affect its motion mid-air? Neglect all air resistance. Well, we just talked about gravity accelerates objects by an acceleration of negative 9.8 meters per second squared. It doesn't matter what the object is. If there's no air resistance, they'll fall at that rate. In class, we took, I think it was a tennis ball, a golf ball, and a marble. But if you have objects with different mass, you drop them at the same time, they'll drop together. So the mass does not affect that object's motion mid-air. D should have been your answer. Okay, let's erase what we have there. Go on to problem 7. So problem 7 says Jim wants to shoot his cannon as far as he possibly can, but he can only change the launch angle. What angle should he set that cannon to? This was one of the things that we looked at on that PhET lab. So we started at an angle of 0, we increased that angle, and we're all the way up to 90. And what we found was that angle of 45, right between 0 and 90, that angle of 45 was the best angle to launch a projectile. That angle gave us the maximum range. So on problem 7, C is your correct answer. Problem 8, a ball is kicked straight up in the air with the speed of v. So we don't know what amount, we just know it's a variable v. What is the velocity of the ball after it returns to the height it was kicked from? So visually imagining this, it's launched up in the air with the speed of v, it slows down until it reaches its top height. It has a speed of 0, then it speeds up as it comes back down. By the time it gets to where it started, it should have that same speed that it was launched with, but in the opposite direction. So if we look at our options, A would be the exact same velocity. When it gets back down, it's going in the negative direction, not the positive. So it should have a negative velocity. B looks like it's going to be our answer. Negative of what it had. So a negative v. 2v and negative 9.8v are just out there. Okay? So negative v should have been your answer for number 8. And the last problem. If I can get everything sorted here. Number 9 says, a water balloon is launched from an angle of 25 degrees and it travels a distance of 40 meters. If you wanted to launch with the same velocity, what other angle can the water balloon be launched to also travel that same range? Okay, this is another problem we did on PhET. So there was 2 concepts we learned from that lab. One was that 45-degree angle gave us the best launch range. Okay? The other thing that we learned was if your angles are an equal amount from that 45 degrees, then they'll go the same distance. So at first, it was launched at an angle of 25 degrees. 25 degrees is 20 degrees away from 45. So if we want to pick the angle that will also launch that same range, it needs to be an angle that is also 20 degrees away from 45. Well, 45 plus 20 will give you 65 degrees. So visually what would happen is, it's a balloon, here's a balloon. If we're launching from 25 degrees, it's going to go up, and it's going to come back down and hit the ground. If we launch from an angle of 65 degrees, it's going to go a lot higher, but they should land back at the same spot. Okay, these are all your problems. Study over them. Make sure you can do every single one, and I promise you'll do well on the test. Okay, good luck.